Touchdown, Nebraska. Oh, nice little single there. By Taylor, big finish. That's three. There it is. And Taylor holds it off. The national champ. The best year ever for Nebraska gets even better. It go to the sideline. Big six. Tommy Hill. The short run to the house. Look at that. Handoff. Downhill. Touchdown. His third.
Welcome into Cornhusker Connection live on a Monday night. We're back at a quick 2-week hiatus. Strep throat ran through the Shanahan household, but we came up on the other side just in time to come back and talk about Nebraska getting blown out on the road against Minnesota. Friday night, primetime television in front of everybody who is interested in college football, 24-6, in a game where everybody looked bad. Everybody looked awful. Nobody had any bit of promising, which is a change of pace from what we've been accustomed to over the last few years. I feel like, particularly like the Scott Frost era, we saw like Nebraska played good football, and then they found comical ways to fumble it away. This was never felt like a competitive game, even going into halftime, 7-6, but here we are. How are you feeling, fellas?
Bad.
What's the meaning of life?
Real bad.
I don't like Matt Rule alluded to it today in one of his press conferences, but it's like, who are we to roll into Minnesota thinking we're too good for that game? And didn't show up at any level. Minnesota did exactly what they wanted to us, and it was just can't get sacked 9 times, can't let them rush the ball for 200 plus yards. It's a failure at every phase, pretty much.
Emma looked pretty sick, though. Whenever he was able to get the ball, he looked good. But other than that, there was nothing about that game that was good. You flush that tape, and you move on to next week.
I think it also stings quite a bit more just the week leading up to it, just because James Franklin gets fired at Penn State. Matt Rule obviously gets thrown into that race fairly or unfairly. So then this whole week we're listening to folks talk about Matt Rule not being good enough to coach at Penn State, and then Nebraska is a stepping stone job to Penn State, this and that. And, this whole time I'm like, this is our guy. We were talking about how sad we would be and how empty, demoralizing it would be if Matt Rule left. And then all of a sudden he goes to Minnesota, overlooks a team who they haven't beaten in 5 years, and looks like the worst version of Matt Rule, like the worst coach team I think I've seen since he got here. Am I crazy in saying that? I mean, UCLA was awful last year, but like, is this worse than that?
It's up there for as bad as the losses we've had in the Matt Rule era. And at just the worst time, too. Like you said, we finally get ranked. Our schedule doesn't look as daunting. But if we're going to put out performances as like that, like Northwestern isn't a gimme now. UCLA isn't a gimme. Iowa's certainly not a gimme. Like, if we don't win this week, it's like we start getting into the territory, or are we going to a bowl game?
It's that funny feeling again, where every game suddenly gets bigger and bigger and bigger until you get lucky number 6, which is a crazy way. I had no inkling that would be what happens at the season. And I mean, to play devil's advocate, there is a world where like this is just one bad night and we bounce back, kick the shit out of Northwestern, get right back on track. But there's also the universe where, maybe we've had a little bit of scarlet colored glasses the last couple of weeks where you have that awful second and third quarter stretch against Michigan State where they figure it out late. You have a really bad or a very sloppy offensive performance against Maryland. And you hang in there, and then finally, for the first time in 9 years, where you get a game-winning drive, maybe that kind of made us overlook some of the deeper flaws of this team. And then, we get in a dogfight with Northwestern. Maybe they regress back to that, oh, woe is me kind of mentality that we've seen from Nebraska in years past. And then all of a sudden, now you're looking at the schedule, it's like, oh, well, I mean, Penn State's, still winless in conference play, but they got backs. They got big dudes up front. They can move men. Iowa, I mean, in what world does that team that played Friday night keep up with Iowa? And USC is going to run us out of the water. And like that's all of a sudden, like that very manageable schedule looks very daunting if you're just searching for that 6th win, which is insane that we're having this conversation again.
I'll say this, where we're in year 3 and we haven't had a good O-line under Matt Rule yet. Like that is the biggest red flag. Like we lost a lot on the defensive line and we knew we were going to have to replace some 5th and 6th year guys. Like we we're probably going to take a step back there, but is it Donovan Raiola or is it just the guys we have aren't very good? But like something's got to change there. You can't give up 9 sacks to Minnesota.
And it's just that's obviously where football starts is up front, because now Dylan doesn't look comfortable in the pocket. Even when he is afforded time, he looks so anxious. Like he's like that clock is already going off in his head. Wide receivers don't have enough time to get open. And you fall behind in this game, you have to throw it. You have to drop back Dylan. And that's not working out. And that's what's the most concerning part, because coming into this season, I probably would have identified that offensive line as a strength. You go out, you get Elijah Pritchard from Alabama, you go get Rocco Spindler from Notre Dame. I mean, we talk about, is Nebraska spending with the big boys on the offensive line? They spent money. That's an expensive offensive line paired with some homegrown guys, particularly on the interior and right tackle. And it's just, it looks so bad because like we expected this out of the defensive line. You lose 2 NFL guys, whatever. The running back room we had concerns about, but like the offensive line, this especially in year 3, was it year 4 or 5 with Donovan Raiola developing the homegrown guys? Like what's the matter?
I mean, it's miss assignments on a lot of plays. And I don't think Dylan's going up there and calling protection. I think he should be, but I don't think that's what his job is right now. But like that's what you see a lot of is just missed assignments. You see people just flying free. Yeah. But it comes back to Dylan a lot. Like he I think I said this the last time we were on here. He steps up when he should roll out. He rolls out when he should step up, and they just got him locked in there. And I think it's hard for anybody really to play quarterback for Nebraska right now because they look so shitty. Unless you're a mobile guy, I mean, you're going to get eaten up back there because they're missing assignments. I mean, you saw Emmett get fucking blown up by a linebacker there, just screaming up the middle. Just a lot of bad things. A lot of just you got to go out there and do your job, and nobody's really doing their job. It's just unfortunate.
And then when you look around the country and you see that the highest graded right tackle last week was a Nebraska transfer that's now at Oklahoma State, you're like, now you're questioning Donovan Raiola, like, is he just a bad offensive line coach? And also, can you fire him having his nephew on your roster?
I mean, that can't matter. That
you
can't
don't think?
I'm not saying it won't matter. I like to think that it won't, but like if you're Matt Rule, you can't. Because I love Dylan. I think he's doing a great job. I wouldn't trade him for anybody in the world. But you do kind of play that game where it's like, well, if it did come to that, would you rather have a good offensive line and just a good quarterback, or a great quarterback behind this very much struggling offensive line?
Yeah.
And you can't be a good football team, particularly in the Big Ten, playing like this.
It's especially crazy to me that we don't have a ton of guys like hop in the portal from last year. And the one of the few that does goes to Oklahoma State, a struggling program, and all of a sudden figures it out and is the highest graded right tackle in the country. And he was on our roster. Like,
Yep.
you don't think we could use a solid right tackle right now? It's maddening. It's like, why is it the guys that we think so highly of, and we pay Elijah Pritchett X amount of money to come here from Alabama, and he gets thrown out of a game in maybe the first offensive lineman targeting I've ever seen? It's when do we quit the Elijah Pritchett experiment? Because he's been very shitty as of late too.
Can I just take a second? Like, what a bullshit call that was.
Yeah,
I mean,
but
it's stupid of him to do that, though. So
by the letter of the
play was
law,
still going on.
I think it is.
He was
targeting.
getting up. He was going to go try to make a tackle. Is he supposed to let him up, and then does he have to like let him get 5 yards towards the ball carrier before he can initiate contact? I could see the vision, but
I mean, we could
I
talk
hear what
about officiating. I would not die on that hill that was not targeting. There was a lot of missed calls there, and I don't think that was one of them.
I'm almost kind of glad they called it, because it was just a stupid thing to do. It's like, shine a light on him just being a dumbass. Like, for sure, get him out of that game.
That's fair. But yeah, obviously,
and then we
officiating
lose
way
too.
down the list on the issue.
Right.
But Rocco Spindler goes down with an injury. So now we're talking about this offensive line
Well,
already
Rocco's going to
coming
be
in with
back
struggles.
next week.
Is he?
Yeah. They said he's
Okay.
good to go. He had surgery and he's good to go. That's what they said today.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Just pain tolerance, they said now after the surgery.
But we lose Elijah Pritchett because when did that happen? That was the
first half. So we
He'll be
get
back.
him back, which might not be a good thing.
I'm telling you, he is not worth the money that we paid for him. And a lot of times, like, when you see, I'll equate it to the Eric Gilbert, the tight end that didn't work out. Also, Justin Rhett, the defensive back we got from Georgia, has not even cracked the 2 deep at Nebraska. When guys take a significant step down, like they leave a program like Georgia or Alabama, like, I feel like it almost rarely works out when they come places like here, because there's a reason Georgia and Alabama don't want those guys. They can't play.
I think there's some situations though where they're just looking for playtime. Not always, and I'm not saying that this is the case for them, but I think that there is something to be said about just looking for playing time as opposed to sitting on the bench for 3 years and then when you're a senior you finally start. But I don't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, but I mean, Pritchett's the one-off example. Like, he started for Alabama, so
Yeah.
like, I get taking a shot on him, but like, it's when a big program swings and misses on a person like that, I think you just almost have to let that guy go somewhere else and prove himself. And I hate that we're always the school that takes these projects that don't work out. Like, let's go find a guy that's proved himself at a D2 or a lower D1 school that has put up numbers somewhere and proved that they can do it at the college level.
We did that this year, though. It's a mixture of both.
Yeah, because I'm also thinking like Williams Winery. Like, we had concerns like, okay, well, if you're this high end of a talent and you couldn't get on the field at Missouri, what are you going to do here? And he's looked the bill. And I don't know, maybe it is just as simple as like the offensive line is down to player talent evaluation, which then, hopefully you get a better talent evaluator the next go around. But I don't know anything about offensive line work to know what
No.
is happening. If it's talent, if it's scheme, if it's I don't know what it is, but it's not working.
Bad stuff, man. It's bad stuff. So when we go out there and kick the shit out of Northwestern next week, are we going to be a little? Are we going to feel a little silly for maybe overreacting if we are right now?
I don't think so.
That's just a bad loss.
I don't think so either, because it wasn't even close. Like, it was not close the entire day. But some things need to change. That's for damn sure.
Because I do think that there's a world where you go. I mean, that's not an easy thing to go into. Short week, going to Minnesota, back-to-back road games against a really solid team. There's a universe where like you come out of that and be like, it just wasn't our night or whatever. But the way that they played, and if it was such an outlier compared to the last several weeks, where like they're dropping passes, they're doing this and that we haven't seen in flashes over the last couple of weeks. Maybe you feel a little bit better after a good win against Northwestern. But it just seems like the things that we were maybe overlooking in those last couple of wins really came out. Because if you also remember last year after that Illinois game when they shut down Dylan with the too high look, nothing looked easy for him after that. And it's like, okay, well now do they have something on tape that they can't fix? And I don't know, maybe it's just the PTSD in me, but it's hard to imagine anything until USC feeling as good as that felt bad.
Are we good as a group on we're not going to the college football playoff this year, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Even if we went out, I don't think that resume would be competitive. That's a crazy if.
I don't, and it pains me to say this, but like in our current state, like I think Iowa would dominate us if we played them right now, just because their strength is running the ball, getting some bullshit turnovers, and like their defensive line would eat us alive.
Yeah, they do what Minnesota does, but probably a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
and they have a quarterback that can run.
Exactly. So if we don't improve or change or come alive in the next 2 or 3 weeks, like we could be sitting here with the exact same situation as last year, and we had all that hype for what coming into this year.
I think putting that number next to our name just curses us. Like we forget how to play, heads get too big, and then we get humbled. And then, I mean, things like these guys just got to realize they're not all that. They got to realize they still got to play as a team, do your damn job every play, and help us win instead of trying to be a cool guy, making these plays. Just go do your fucking job and let's win some goddamn games.
Well, and we, you can also have that conversation like results versus the hype. But all I was asking this year is like just win the games you're supposed to. Like if you drop against Michigan, I was very sad during that Michigan loss, but like that's a me problem. I have to address that with the professional at some point. That's like just win the games you're supposed to. If you lose to USC as a 2-point dog, whatever. If you lose to Penn State as a 4-point dog, whatever. But like a multi-score favorite, just win those games.
And it's also that Matt Rule said we were very vanilla on offense and defense. Like, I hate when coaches say shit like that just because there's only 12 regular season college football games. Like, there's no reason to hold back plays or maybe a few, like trick plays or specific plays that you want to use in an important situation in a big game, but I don't get the point of being vanilla in game 7 against Minnesota. Like, what are we holding back? Like, that should be a game that we go up there and we absolutely just pound them. Instead, we get pounded and look stupid on national television with that number next to our name. So I don't get the coaching blunders that Matt Rule was talking about today.
Well, and that's all. I think I could excuse that, like if you have a proven identity, like if you're able to run the football and pound the rock, and you go into a game and they just end up stopping the run and you don't have a great answer for that, whatever. But like you haven't looked good on offense in a month and a half. What are you holding back?
Exactly. That's my whole point. I don't get the point of being vanilla. Like, let's go hang 50 on people and then worry about being vanilla.
Mm-hmm.
But you put up 6 and give up 9 sacks to Minnesota. Was it worth it being vanilla to save some game tape for a future game that's probably not going to be very meaningful?
Is there a path for us to get to the Big Ten championship game?
No.
No shot, right?
No. It's going to be Indiana, Ohio State, but like UCLA's 3-0 in conference. We're 1-2. Like there would have to be a lot of losses for us to get there.
Although, because outside of head to head, I think they go by opponent winning percentage, which I can't imagine Nebraska would be very favorable against many people. So,
well, Cincinnati kind of carrying the
in
torch there for
conference.
us. Oh,
I mean, that Cincinnati win is aging pretty well.
yeah.
Yeah, I had to delete social media on Friday just to touch some grass and reconnect with Earth. If not, I just would have been watch that Cincinnati interception on a loop.
I hope we get to 10-2 just to like put some pressure on the committee to keep out a 10-2 Big Ten team, but more so just to get to double-digit wins and get in like a really good bowl.
This might be a stupid question because the obvious answer is, of course you do. But as we look right now, do you want to be in a playoff game?
Yeah.
I think that's a fair question. I would, just in the sense, like all the things that would have to happen. You would have to beat a good USC team. You would have to beat Iowa. You would have to beat a Penn State team, which, as we talked about, is just a matchup nightmare for Nebraska, even though they're struggling. Still got NFL backs. They still got NFL dudes up front. So, like, if you were able to get that would they'd get blown out in the first round. Sure, that wouldn't be very fun to see, but it would show, okay, this team has gotten a lot better and gotten to do a lot of the things that I'm very nervous about. They've gotten that stuff right.
Like I said, the obvious answer is yes. I was just curious. My question is, I know he's a young guy, and I can't remember his name. He's the biggest defensive lineman that we have. He's like 330.
No, not Winery.
I forget his name. But why not? You're watching that game. Why not rotate the biggest damn guy you have, put him in the middle, let him be that rock, and try to at least do something instead of continuing to run small and just get gashed up the middle every play. Like the guy was getting 5 yards a damn carry. Like, why not try something different?
The 3-3-5 does not work when you don't have anchors like Ty Robinson and Nash up there and like guys who really can affect the line. Like Winery and Keona Davis, I feel like are good pass rushers, but like they do not fit the mold of like being able to stop the run in the Big Ten, like being only 270-ish pounds.
Yeah.
And we do have some bigger guys, but like like Judy and Van Poppel aren't like super polished where like they're not on the Ty Robinson level.
Yeah.
So again, I think that's a flaw in the roster. Like that should have been a bigger addressed need in the offseason with the portal, but we got to find some guys that can play on both sides of the trenches quick.
I mean, at least I don't think we have to worry about Matt Rule going to Penn State anymore.
Kind of wish he would at this point.
So obviously we talked about how it would be pretty cool for Nebraska to win out, go to the Big Ten champ, or go to the college football playoff, even if it means getting blown out. But what realistically does a successful season look like from here on out? Because like I said, this Friday felt so bad. It's hard to really imagine there being anything left on the schedule until Thanksgiving that would feel as good as that felt bad.
I think anything under 8-4 is like a catastrophic failure.
Yeah, I was going to say 8 or 9 wins.
Yeah, I think 8 wins is a threshold.
Because that means you didn't improve from last year at whatsoever.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a good place to be because what they got: Northwestern, USC, Penn State,
UCLA.
UCLA, Iowa.
That UCLA game
Oh,
is
you have
looking
to win 3 of those
tough
games
right now.
Hottest team in college football.
3-0 with the new coach.
So yeah, you'd have to win 3 of those games. So if you get Northwestern, UCLA, yeah, I think 8 wins you feel good about. 7 wins.
I think we should get Penn State with just the state of that team being so down.
Yeah, it just sucks though. We're giving them enough time to kind of regroup and figure it out by the time we play them.
They might be 3-7 by the time we play them at the way they look, unless something changes for them. A lot could change, but they look like they're in hell.
I mean, it's to start Saturday. Northwestern coming to town. They're not the bottom feeder that I think a lot of folks were pegging them out to be. 5-2 on the year. Granted, not an impressive slate for them so far. Wins against Purdue, winless in the Big Ten, Penn State, UL Monroe, UCLA. Which that UCLA game is not looking like a bad win these days. And then losses to Tulane and Oregon.
But I'll say this about Northwestern is just that like they're taking care of business like we want Nebraska to.
Yep.
And
that's exactly right.
And then they swung at Penn State and was able to knock them off. Like, it's just so frustrating that like you don't know what you're going to get from this team on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. It seems, and it's frustrating to hear Matt Rule, and I get that this is an opportunity to leverage the Penn State job to squeeze out more resources for your team, and I respect that, but it's very frustrating to hear him talk about he wants to get Nebraska to that $30 million roster threshold that the big dogs are getting to, but you're already outspending many programs in the Big Ten, and you already have better resources than a lot of the schools in the Big Ten, and you're still not winning those games. Because if you're going 10-2, you're losing to Michigan and USC or Michigan, Ohio State or Oregon, then those are the kind of conversations like, well, we need to do this to get over the edge to get that next level, but we're not even on that path yet.
Exactly.
Why it's just very frustrating to hear that sentiment because if spending was what was the issue, we wouldn't be losing to Minnesota.
I would rather, put all of our resources into the trenches every year and then see what we got with every other position group, because as you've seen in the Big Ten, you're not going to get anywhere without being really good in the trenches.
Yeah, if I was going to shine a positive light, it does seem like since Matt Rule's gotten here, he's been very visual about evolving in that sense.
Yeah.
Where I would like to give him the benefit of the doubt, but you also can't lose as multi-score favorites anymore.
Nope.
To get to that 10-win threshold, that might be bad expectations on us, but as we're looking at that typical Matt Rule year 3 bump, that might not have been as realistic looking back, but Minnesota's realistic. That's a realistic game that you should win. It's a realistic game that if you do lose, it's a close, weird, fluky game, not getting outplayed for 60 minutes.
Resources wise, that's a game we should win every year, and we have not won once in the last 6. So.
And throughout that game, it felt like Minnesota had a plan. We're like, okay, we know we like this matchup. We can outrun Donovan Jones at will. We know we can attack this defensive line with our 18th ranked in the Big Ten rush offense. I can't remember the last time I watched a Nebraska game where I'm like, oh, they out-schemed them, or they identified a weakness and they exploited it. I would like to see that at some point.
That would be nice.
That takes our coordinators like actually believing that these teams are good, though. If what Matt Rule said was true.
But I also don't love that comment. Like, you're the head coach. Like, if you felt like that was the case in the first half, like, why at halftime are you not adjusting and being like, you guys got to do something different?
Yeah.
I don't love the Monday morning quarterback situation from Matt Rule kind of placing blame. Like, I get he's not calling plays on either side, but like, you're the head coach. Like, you should know what's going on during the game and being able to like communicate and fix that. So I don't love that.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine. There's a lot of things he could have said that would make me feel better, but I didn't really love anything that he said.
It was a weird. He had a bunch of weird things he said this week, which again, hard to say the right thing in that scenario, but it was odd.
Flush it and go next. That's what I said.
Yeah, but I mean,
keep fighting.
that's all you can do now. Northwestern's coming to town; they're not going to lay down. There's a world where you do feel better after that game, but boy, you just got to come out angry. Like, I think after that Michigan game, in year one under Matt Rule, they got blown out, and then they went and really took it to Illinois. Like, I need that. I would have loved to have had that after the Michigan game this year, but no better time than the present.
No better time.
I'm going to be real honest. I didn't watch a whole lot of college football this week. I did just learn that Florida State lost to Stanford, which is very funny.
That's crazy because Stanford's terrible.
They're awful. I did see our boy James Williams got a quarterback hit.
Nice.
It was after the play, and he was called for roughing the passer, but at least he's getting the uniform dirty a little bit. Nice to see that out of him. I know it's such a talented defense that he's a part of, so excited to see him get some play. So it could be worse, I guess. Could be worse.
Could always be worse.
Warkacher had another touchdown for A&M, I saw.
That's good for him. I'm happy for him. Oddly enough, so we did talk. I am pretty happy with the tight ends at Nebraska. It's nice to have one position where it's like, oh, we lost a guy, but Luke Lindenmeyer has been great.
I think Lindenmeyer's doing an awesome job. But I would love to see Carter Nelson, a guy that's a lot more dynamic than Lindenmeyer is. I'd love to see him get on the field. You just don't see him.
I am surprised we haven't seen him as much.
I would also love to see Dane Key and Isaiah Hunter do anything against Minnesota.
Yeah.
And Ja'Cory Barney.
That drop by Isaiah Hunter was tough, man.
But even like Ja'Cory Barney, like that guy's got to get 5 to 10 touches a game at minimum for us.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think he had 3.
Yeah. I mean, what happened to those tunnel screens that we were running last year?
And that's all we were doing last year, and now there's none of it.